And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Sports. I'm Sergeant Rock, alongside with Jazz.
How's everybody doing?
There you go. We got Michael Cox over there. I should have been on the other side of the glass, shouldn't I? I like screwed this up. Anyway, oh well. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, good. Okay, I'm sitting in that empty chair over there, everybody. What a week in sports has been. What a weekend of sports is going to be. Here's what we're going to be talking about this week. Clippers owner Donald Sterling. Of course, you know, unless you've been living in a cave under a rock, he's been banned from the NBA. But the NBA met yesterday, and they're going to force him to sell the team. Meanwhile, Bulls are gone. Bobcats are gone. 3 Game 7s tonight. 3 Game 7s tomorrow night. Lakers are checking the college ranks for a new coach. Florida State University baseball suspended Winston for stealing crab legs and crawfish. Okay, I'll be over there in a minute, brother. What else we got? The most exciting 2 minutes in sports takes place tomorrow. That's the Kentucky Derby. Cardinals and Cubs are playing this weekend. Matter of fact, they're playing as we speak. We got the Mayweather fight going on. Plus, they're going to be running 4 wide at the Talladega this weekend. So it's going to be a great weekend for sports. We got all that and more coming up on this edition of Talking Sports. You be sure to stay tuned.
Welcome back.
Just don't leave it laying on the table.
Talking Sports WBCP. I feel like a divorce lawyer right now. Between two squabbling. I want the chairs.
Hey, you should have seen the start of the program. But it was all Jason's fault, though.
Yep, absolutely.
No, first of all, Jason has never made a mistake. There's 2 rules in Jason's world. Jason never makes a mistake. Rule 2, if Jason makes a mistake, see rule 1. That's how he lives.
Well, he made a mistake this time.
What, he put your face on TV?
Oh, no, I did the opening of the show over there.
We were confused. I'm sorry.
How are you going to do the opening over there and the camera is over there?
He's confused.
Pointing this way. How's that Jason's fault?
It's Jason's fault. Because if Jason hadn't set up the camera, we would have been straight.
I'm not even going to try to even,
It's his fault.
It's like some Chinese parable.
Well,
If Jason wouldn't have set up the camera, we wouldn't have this.
no, we wouldn't have this problem. So we just kind of like did like a phantom opening.
Just fade to black.
No, just a couple empty chairs.
I appreciate it. I was over here.
Oh, okay.
Hi there, empty chair.
Yeah, just a couple empty.
How you doing?
Couple empty chairs and Mike.
Mike Cox.
Speaking of empty chairs, the best line I heard is what we were just talking about a minute ago. My good deed for a Cubs fan. John Rooney says, "Man, there are a lot of fans here dressed as chairs today."
That's not funny, John Rooney.
It must be.
And I'll have you know as a Cub fan.
It must be playing in Chicago.
It's chilly up there, too.
Anyway, we get to that a little later on.
Yes, we will.
Got a lot of sports to talk about.
Hey, man, this is going to be a great weekend for sports, Joe. Fans, it's going to be a great weekend for sports.
Why?
We got Cardinals.
Cubs.
You got 3 Game 7s tonight. 3 Game 7s tomorrow. You got the Kentucky Derby tomorrow.
And down the stretch.
And they running 4 wide in Talladega tomorrow.
So they're going to have horses at Talladega?
No.
No?
You said horses, right?
Right.
And then you got that Mayweather fight tomorrow night.
Ooh, yeah.
So you got a plethora
Look at you.
of sports to watch tomorrow.
Don't say that with like crackers in your mouth or something.
Man, you need to spit that all
You
out.
spit plethora all over the place. Don't do
But
it.
yeah, you got all that going on.
Yeah.
Man, what a weekend.
What a week it's been.
I'm looking forward to it.
If I can stay awake and upright, I'm looking forward to it too.
There you go.
You know what happens
You
when
look a
you get
little sleepy now.
well, you know how you get excited about something the next,
Yeah, I know. Especially if you pay that much for that Mayweather. How much is that costing anyway?
usually $75.
Are you kidding me?
Huh? That's how.
That's crazy.
But here's the thing. Barnum Bailey said it. What did he say?
Yeah.
Is one born every day?
So if we come over and hang out in your front yard, will you leave the curtains open so we can watch?
I know, because you know Joe gonna get
He's
it.
gonna charge it.
No,
People coming in the door.
I've actually, you know, I had a little silent protest like when Pacquiao Bradley. I didn't get that one. You know, I missed a couple recently because I'm starting to get, you know, like Mike's response. $75 for something that when we were growing up as kids, you just cut on Wild World of Sport.
Well, but it was a week later maybe, but you got to see the fight anyway.
Exactly.
But
For
you
free.
Your dad and your uncle or whoever you used to watch did not $75.
That's right.
You know how many 6-packs that buys?
And then HBO got to showing the fights for free.
Yeah. But now it's snowballed over. But what it has shown us is that everything's about, you know, when we get in these debates about sports, and I always talk about, you know, the idiots who buy, you know, even though I'm talking about myself as an idiot.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you pointed that out.
I mean, it goes without saying that
Idiot.
I am an idiot. But that's what it really, if you really think about it, is that they've gotten it to the point where whatever it is, whether it be boxing or whatever sport it may be, we're buying something that we should not be buying.
Even that fake old wrestling, WWE and WWF and WWW.
Back in the day, we'd sit down and watch a good wrestling match, and
For free.
guy would take a ketchup package and smack it on his head for free. Now you got to pay to watch a guy with fake blood
Yeah.
take a fake punch
A fake storyline.
with a fake storyline.
I got a script back there. Mike, hand me that red paper. Hang.
You know,
I found this the other day.
now that's scary.
Right here, people.
This storyline.
Here's what a pro wrestling script looks like. They got it all down here. Everything that's going to happen during a wrestling match.
Yeah, because it's sports entertainment. And you always get, you know, you debate with me about, oh, Joe, you're crazy. There you go with your conspiracy. It's not about conspiracy. It's what Mike just said. It's sports entertainment. And that's where boxing, I think, has lost its luster over the past few years, is because we grew up watching guys just beat the bejesus
The
out of
Muhammad Ali's
Ali
and
Foreman.
George Foreman
Ali
and Frazier.
Lyle, and you name it.
Rocky Marciano. Uh-oh.
I ain't that old.
Joe Louis, you that old. But
Floyd
even the
Patterson.
smaller guys, the Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonards,
Yep.
Tommy Hearns,
Duran,
Durans,
all those guys,
you know,
Leonard.
when those guys got in the ring and they fought 15 rounds, now the fights are 12 rounds.
12 round.
And if you can get two high quality fighters to fight, not box, there's a difference.
What's the difference?
Rope-a-dope.
You want me to do the Holyfield boxes and fighters and fighters and or you want me to talk about boxing? And boxing is an art, it's a science.
Okay.
Fighting is when two crazed individuals get in there with no remorse for what they're going to do to the other person.
Just trying to knock the other person
That's
out.
it.
That's fighting.
That's fighting. Boxing, there's a science to it. It's the art of hitting without getting hit.
Hold on. Is it? There's no such thing.
What do you think when you sit there and watch boxing now, and you see a guy Perrier fence twirl, you know, like you're watching an old Bugs Bunny cartoon,
Bobbing and weaving.
bobbing and weaving, and these guys are trying not to get
Not to
touched.
get hit. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why
And we see how well that works.
you doesn't work too well, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Because the other guy's got gloves on and he's got bad intentions.
He
too.
bobbing and weaving too.
But to go, Floyd Mayweather, at least he was honest about this a couple of years ago when he said, I'm a prize fighter, meaning I fight for the prize, not for what you want as a fan, which is the blood and guts of beating the other guy and cutting him up and knocking him out. No, I'm fighting for that purse. And tomorrow night, $32 million guaranteed. That's the minimum he will make. The pay-per-view buys exceed $1 million, which that's how he gauges it. His purse goes up.
I'm pretty sure it's going to.
Oh, and why? Why are people buying the Floyd Mayweather fight?
Because they suckers.
Not only that, but what is the biggest draw right now of wanting to see it?
Because he's undefeated.
That's it. It's not
We'll
that.
see if he gets beat.
That's why I love this guy. That's why I love Mike Cox, man. And other reasons. Yeah. But that's what it is.
Well, I don't want to know that.
Clarify that, please.
Yeah, please do that.
Clarify that.
Because I'll get ready.
Hey, there's a camera.
I'm getting ready to ask what those other reasons are. Wouldn't you like to know?
No, it's the script. It's all scripted out.
Is that what it is?
It's all scripted out. But like you said, people are sitting at home. They're not watching the fight to watch the fight.
They just want to see Mayweather lose.
And then when he wins, he got me again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like playing with house money. You bet it again. That's where, so he fights, twice a year? So if he wins tomorrow night, which more than likely he will, he'll fight again in the fall, and all us suckers will lay our house money down. Okay. All us suckers will do it again because we want to see him lose.
That's why I was watching the ESPN Sports Center right around about midnight or so.
Because it's about the moment. You want to be able to say you saw it.
I'll give you a really good example, and it's a similar game, but it's not boxing. It's UFC. When Anderson Silva fought Chris Weidman the second time, everybody expected the Spider, Anderson Silva, to get back his title. He throws that kick, breaks his leg. You saw pictures of it, and they were really gross. I mean, it was a bad break. But to have been watching it live and see Anderson immediately, he gets this weird look on his face, like,
well,
what the heck
wouldn't you?
just happened? Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is,
Hey, I've got two legs on one side.
it was so unexpected. That's why people will buy the UFC pay-per-view, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you said about, you guys were talking about bobbing and weaving, that's why Dana White and his two buddies have been making so much money.
Right.
Because if people want to see the blood and guts, they'll get that UFC pay-per-view.
That's it. And I think the other thing that we have seen, because we have such short attention spans now, is
Speak for yourself.
as most Americans, we have such a short attention span. What Mike just UFC just had their UFC 172 last week. 172, which means that Dana White is like pumping these things out almost every month. But what does boxing do? What do they give us? Maybe twice a year if we really get two good fights. But Dana White has figured it out. Our attention span is so short. He just talked about Anderson Silva. Everybody's like, oh, Anderson Silva, greatest UFC fighter, broke his leg. Okay, who's next?
John Bones
Jones. So we go to Bones Jones. He wins. Who's next? That's the attention span of Americans, as opposed to back in the day. Muhammad Ali could fight in March, win the fight, and then the conversation from March until maybe August was the previous fight and who is he fighting next.
Right.
Not anymore. Within 48 hours, because of the 24-hour news cycle that we have, that's why you have this stuff change over so much, because it's all about people just want to be entertained.
Okay. If you're listening out there and our listening audience, 359-9227, give us a call. If you're going to purchase this fight, give us a call and let us know why you are buying this fight.
Now,
for $75.
I will say, as you well know, I'm a big boxing fan. When I do buy, I'm buying the package. Meaning, I'm watching those, the two guys fighting and the janitors out in the
undercards.
The undercard fighters. Because sometimes those are where you really see fights.
Right.
Because those are the up-and-coming guys, and they really want to put on a good show. By the time you get to the main event, then as we said earlier, it's more about dancing with the stars and, just trying to look good, maybe throw a couple here and there. But that's what I want to see is who's that new guy, that up-and-coming guy, etc. Final thing I'll say on it, in terms of just boxing in general, and I've talked about this before, is you're seeing the change. I always talk about ethnicity and where fighters come from throughout. Jewish fighters back in the day, African-American fighters, Hispanic fighters, and now what's the next wave that's happening right now?
Mexico.
Nope.
Venezuela.
Ukrainian and Russian fighters are dominating.
The Klitschko brothers, are they still fighting heavyweight?
Klitschko brothers at the heavyweight level. You got Golovnin, if I say that correctly.
That dude.
You've got guys at the light heavyweight level. You've got a lot of former Soviet Union guys who are coming over and dominating, and it is it is amazing how the pattern of ethnicity shows in terms of where these guys come from, and then you hear the story, that tough background, usually coming from an impoverished area, and this is the way they fought to get out. You think about, for example, we talk about Mexican fighters and African American fighters. You think about what a lot of African American athletes are doing today that they don't have to do. A lot of guys are transitioning to basketball, football. So that's the reason why you don't see too many African American, heavyweight fighters and large, because those athletes have found other alternatives to get out of the ghetto in the inner city. Hispanic fighters, that was the same thing for years. You saw a lot of Hispanic fighters being run through the program because of the impoverished areas that they come from. Not as many coming through as it used to be. I mean, there's still a mainstay in terms of the sport, but you're starting to see that shift, as I said earlier, now with Russian and Ukrainian fighters coming in and starting to dominate the sport. So it's just interesting to see how different parts of the world are represented when it comes to professional boxing.
Interesting. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah. Always been an avenue out of the inner city.
Well, never really being a big fight fan, especially since they don't have any more heavyweights. I never really paid attention to that. But that's very good insight, Joseph.
One of the other things, when you talk about the heavyweights, that always used to be the baddest man on the planet. Mm-hmm. If you were the heavyweight champion of the world, much respect. That's the toughest guy in the world, quasi.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Who is the heavyweight champ?
Well, Vladimir Klitschko. He's been champ since 2006.
I get ready to say he ain't fought since then, has he?
Well, here's what's funny.
One of them fought recently.
Vladimir just fought last Saturday on ESPN. That's how...
What?
There you go. That's how low the heavyweight ranks have become. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. We saw Ali, Frazier, Foreman, these guys on Wide World of Sports. We now complain that we can't see the... And now I'm telling you that the heavyweight champ was on TV and nobody watched it. He was on ESPN at 4 o'clock last Saturday, defending his 3 belts.
Now, who knew?
That's
who the better question.
No.
Who cares?
Who cared? There it is.
Well,
who cares?
Because everybody just sat there and I'm a UFC fan, so I'll just put that out there.
Okay.
But everybody just sat there and watched, Johnny Jones do what everybody said he would not be able to do, and that's climb into the phone booth with Glover Teixeira and beat the dog poo-poo out of him.
Yep.
When everybody, even on the pre-fight, everybody's like, oh,
this is the
Bones
one.
is going to lose it. He's going to lose it. And Johnny, halfway through the fight, Joe Rogan's like, he's forgotten his game plan. He's just going to stand there and bang with him.
Yeah.
Is he still going to be standing when it was over with? And by gosh, he was. So to answer your question, who's the baddest man on the planet? John Bones Jones.
Yeah. Because
no doubt.
Going to Mike's point about that baddest man on the planet, I think your lay public, that lay fan, can relate to 2 guys in the UFC grappling, punching, grounded pound, leg strikes, knees, etc. That's a fight. There is a science to it. Trust me, because you're talking about mixed martial art.
Right.
You're talking about guys with jiu-jitsu backgrounds, taekwondo backgrounds, judo
fighters,
right?
Whatever.
And they're incorporating all that. So
wrestlers.
It is a science to see it, but I think the layperson likes that more because there's more activity going on, and the intensity. The fights are only, like a championship fight is what, 5 rounds?
5 rounds, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes apiece.
Yep. And then the regular fights are 3 rounds, 5 minutes apiece. So you get, I think what I like about UFC is there's a compact intensity. You watch like Mayweather's fight tomorrow, boxers may go the first 2-3 rounds, jab.
Don't even throw a punch.
Right. May land, they'll put the punch stat numbers up. Guy may have landed 6 punches in 3 minutes. Because what? He's sticking, he's moving, he's trying to...
You filling him out the first few rounds.
Ain't no filling out in UFC.
No, I
well, part of that's the scoring system. In the UFC, part of how you get your 10 points or whatever it may be if you win the round is how aggressive you are.
Mm-hmm.
and how you control the octagon and you know all that stuff. Boxing is still by how many punches I hit you.
Being
with, right?
aggressive could get you knocked out, though.
In either sport. But I think in UFC, you have, like Mike said, you have to be.
Or you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win the fight.
You know, it's not too much countering going on in a UFC fight where guys backpedaling and catching you. No, he's on his toes and he's laying wood to you the same time you're laying wood to him. You know.
And is not boxing still just how many punches you land?
It's that, you know, ring generalship is the biggest thing. It really is. That's why I talk about the art or science of it. Because if you really think about some of your greatest fighters, whether it be Marciano being undefeated, a tough guy who's standing in there and he's dropping you with ones and twos, or you look at a Sugar Ray Robinson, or you look at a modern day Sugar Ray Leonard, or you look at present company Floyd Mayweather Jr. They give the appeal that they're in control, even when they're not punching, that they're controlling the fight based on movement, etc. I think that's one of the
Body
things.
language.
There you go. They could make it look like, you know, you watch some of the fights, one of the greatest things that Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard learned from Ali is stealing rounds.
Mm-hmm.
They go about 2.5 minutes, ain't done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You could be hitting me with jabs or whatever.
Then the last minute or so, you throw a flurry and, you know.
Or what they like to call shoe shining.
Mm-hmm.
Where a guy just comes out, he may not be hitting you real hard, but he lets go a 10-punch combination and then does something, as you said, with body language, as you've covered up to protect yourself, which you're supposed to do. But what happens? The crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
Not a crowd going crazy. Judges are influenced. They're humans, so they're influenced by the crowd reaction. They forgot the first 2.5 minutes of the round. They just remember the last 30 seconds. Oh, man, that Sergeant Rock, man, he beat Stovall to death.
He a beast.
And then, like you said, the punch stat numbers come up, and that's why you see bad judging in boxing. Because then they'll give you the round, because you shoe shine me for 30 seconds. They'll give you a 10-9 round, and then the punch stat numbers come up, and I landed 21 punches, you landed 15.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that there's still, I mean, we know back in the day, there used to be a lot of cheating going on in boxing. Do you think it's still carrying on today?
Let's see here. Does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? If there's human beings involved, of course there's cheating. If there's money involved, they definitely are cheating. I think what you've seen over the years, that's why we don't get the matchups we used to get, because the promoters now are just, I mean, everybody knows. Remember, Don King used to be, only in America, the sleaziest guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've got so many sleazy guys to the point where now it's not even about promoters, it's about networks. If you're a Showtime fighter, and I'm an HBO fighter, we're never going to get together. And the reason why we're never going to get together is who's got the rights to show the fight. And that's why Pacquiao, when Mayweather left HBO and went to Showtime, that's what killed that fight. Because Bob Arum is what is top-ranked boxing.
Mm-hmm.
He promotes all that. De La Hoya has Golden Boy. Floyd Mayweather, the money team, he does his own promotions. He doesn't have a promoter. So, for example, when him and Pacquiao were negotiating, he told Pacquiao straight out, I get you $10 million right up front. You got to drop your promoter. Pacquiao can't do it. He got a contract with this man.
Yeah, you signed up.
So he's stuck. Because Mayweather doesn't want to, he used to be promoted by Bob Arum. He doesn't want to give him any of his money. So going to your point about the cheating, I think it's now about the networks that's created some of these problems. And then, to a lower level, when you talk about two guys getting in the ring, if you're not marketable, let's say you're an old champ. You're an old champ and I'm the new and upcoming guy.
Me and you would never fight.
Or if we do fight, you're going to lose. Unless you knock me out, you're going to lose. Because it goes back to the beginning of this conversation. Mike said it earlier, it's called sports entertainment. If you can't entertain people anymore, why do we want to promote you? So, hey, Sam, even though you did win the fight, because remember when Pacquiao lost to Bradley the first time? That was Vegas basically saying that, okay, we got to get some new blood in here. Even though Pacquiao, you beat the crap out of the guy, How many times can we sell your fight? How many times can we get people to buy tickets, pay-per-view, merchandising, etc.? We need to get some new blood. So.
But we can sell the crap out of the rematch when you lose.
And what they do? They sold the crap out of it. And what happened? Pacquiao in the second fight landed less punches than he did in the first fight and won by unanimous decision. He still outlanded him, but the second fight was way closer than the first fight. First fight, he dominated Bradley and lost. So to your point, is there still cheating? You bet your bottom dollar.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break right now, take a commercial break. It's a little bit early because when we come back, we're going to talk about everything NBA, including Clippers owner Donald Sterling, and he had a bad week this week.
Just small.
Now,
Like,
Little annoyance, parking ticket type stuff.
there you go.
Yeah, he had a
The
bad
stuff
week.
that we deal with every day.
so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about his misgivings. We'll talk about the the 6 Game 7s that are going to be happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Right here on Stocky Sports. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580. Cox, Britton, and Stovall, attorneys at law. Have you been hurt at work?
Don't
Do you
tell us.
have a car accident case that you'd like to talk to somebody out?
You forgot to throw in the LLC.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll have to shoot the commercial again.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We'll do that a little later. So we got to go back to talking sports. Which is-
Yeah.
We talked a little boxing in the last segment, and before we go any further, real quick on the Mayweather Maidana fight, it will be a fight because Maidana he's an Argentinian who is super aggressive. He's going to force Mayweather to fight. Now, either two things will happen. Either Maidana will get lucky, because that's really what, and land some punches on Mayweather, or what you're going to see is Mayweather's superior boxing skills. He's going to counterpunch the you-know-what out of this guy and probably give him a pretty good beating. But I think they have to put this fight on to conclude on this point. Mayweather knows that he's only got about 2 or 3 more fights left in him. He wants to get to that 49-0 with Marciano. He really wants to get to that 50-0 and then shut it down. But to get people to stay intrigued with it, he's continually got to fight some younger, more aggressive guys. And so that's why tomorrow night's fight is going to be a good fight. But I see Mayweather winning either in a late stoppage or a unanimous decision. So just wanted to make sure I got that in.
Okay. He got it in.
I got it in.
But you're still not going to buy the fight.
I haven't made my decision yet.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, I'm like
Last
Mike.
time it was a silent protest.
Yeah,
No,
but I'm
I
like
didn't
Mike.
buy it.
I'm that guy that I'm a voyeur. I got to see and I'm upset I didn't see Anderson Silva's leg just,
Oh, YouTube it. It's there.
I mean, yeah, but it's not the same as when you see it when it happens, so
Well, if you do purchase it, let us know.
we will do that.
You have my number.
Leave the drapes open.
I'll leave the drapes open.
You have-
Or what I'll do is I'll get a spotlight and I'll get a big easel and I'll draw stick figures and I'll reenact what's happening. I'll write round 1 and I'll put big circles and stuff.
That'll work too.
Such an
Weather's
imagination.
supposed to clear up, so.
There you go.
All right. We did Talking Sports last Friday, and then Saturday is when the big news hit. A
What?
tape surfaced on MTV. What does that stand for? 30 Mile Zone, something like that.
TMZ.
TMZ. What did I say?
You say
MTV.
MTV.
He's an old champ with his Monday face on.
There you go.
Ooh.
Whoa, Silva.
Anyway, TMZ, 30 Mile Zone, of Clippers owner Donald Sterling ranting about his girlfriend hanging out with African American guys, bringing them to his ball stadium. What is it called?
Staples Center.
No.
Ball game.
Yeah, Staples Center. putting pictures up on Instagram and Twitter and
If you're gonna do it,
yeah,
you have to flaunt it.
yeah. I mean, you can go out with them.
You do whatever you want with
You
them.
can go to bed with them, but
You just have to go out and promote it.
yeah, exactly. What's up with that? And she's got all this on tape. Now, it's my understanding that he requested this woman tape some of their conversations, business-wise and otherwise, because he was forgetful.
80 years old.
He's forgetting stuff. So, tape our conversations
He forgot he was a racist.
for the time.
Could you remind me, what am I? No, that's what it is.
So all of a sudden,
And people have been pissed for the past 50 years at me.
this tape surfaces, and all hell breaks loose in this guy's life. Not only his life, but the lives of the Los Angeles Clippers, and not only the lives of NBA players. Period.
It was a turning point. I think it is something that galvanized the league in the fact that 80% of your players are African American. You have a new commissioner who's only been on the job about 100 days, and most he's really been known for is reading the names of the second round draft picks at the previous 30 drafts.
I thought you were going to say those ears.
Right.
Because they are huge.
His ears are huge, but here's the other thing. Doesn't Adam Silver sound like a 12-year-old kid with sinus problems?
Mm-hmm.
You know, his voice is not too much bass in his voice,
He does apparently have a really big stick he carries around with him.
and he used it
Yes, he did.
Tuesday at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern time.
Did you see the press conference?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I watched it too. Donald Sterling banned for life from the NBA. He can't attend anything that has NBA on it. If he was walking down the street with an NBA T-shirt on, he'll probably have to leave.
The police will make him take it off. Are you Donald Sterling? Take that shirt off. You know you're bad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ask me if I am.
I think there's two frames of context on this thing. One, the business aspect, and two, the social aspect. I think from a business aspect, and I think we've seen this play out many times before, most leagues, corporations, big business today are super neutral in society, meaning they don't want any controversy of anything.
And you saw that come Monday of this week when countless Clipper sponsors start pulling rank.
Yeah.
State Farm for one, BMW,
CarMax.
yeah, CarMax, and a whole bunch of other
I think there was
sponsors
13 sponsors
on Monday.
within 24 hours between Monday and Tuesday before the press conference had pulled out of their sponsorship of the Clippers.
Right,
You know,
not the players.
players, right, but of the
Of the
team
team.
and the organization, the Clippers. And so, like I said, to the point of business, today's society recognizes that, you know, nobody wants that stain. You know, and when I say nobody, meaning the NBA, there's 29 other teams in the league. They don't want that one team to stain and taint the entire league. So that's why when Adam Silver comes out and says what he says as commissioner, this is not Adam Silver going out to that press conference blindly. He's had conversation with other owners in the league, and he basically said, guys, we let this idiot stick around. Guess what happens to our league? But more importantly, I think on the social side is the fact that when it got out that the Players Union had indicated that not only the Clippers were going to boycott, all the teams were going to boycott their playoff games that Tuesday. Could you imagine the business impact
Right, the financial impact.
that would have occurred if there were no games on Tuesday night?
Well, one of the things that I heard, and you know, for those of us here in Illinois, we probably know this because Michael Jordan, who's an owner of the Bobcats, is notoriously non-political.
Mm-hmm.
This was such a significant event that even Mike, I am not jumping into any fight whatsoever, jumped into the fight
Right.
and made his comments. So, I mean,
yeah, whether he would have been forced to make one anyway.
but,
Because especially since the Bobcats were still in the playoff, they would have looked to Michael Jordan to say something.
but there have been times throughout his career that he's been in the NBA as both a player and now an owner, majority owner, minority owner, whatever he was, that things have happened that people have said to him, "What do you think?" And he's, Gatorade paid me too much, so it's making nothing.
I think going to Mike's point,
Yeah,
if you go back to, this would have been, I can't remember the exact time period. It was in the 90s. African American gentleman who was running for U.S. Senate in the state of North Carolina was running against Jesse Helms. And they asked Michael Jordan, they were basically trying to get Jordan to endorse the Democratic candidate. And Jordan's response was, well, Republicans buy shoes too. Meaning, I sell shoes to everybody. And I think that was where a lot of people kind of taking affront that Mike didn't take a position in a situation, first of all, in his quote-unquote home state, even though he is from Brooklyn, New York. He had an opportunity to make a political stand, and he didn't. So to Mike's point, he is correct. For Michael Jordan to even come out, to me, what it reminded me of, not to make light of the situation, but it reminded me of that scene from Airplane, where the lady was real hysterical on the airplane, and then people started going up smacking her.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, there was a line all the way through the airplane. Everybody wanted a piece of this woman. I think by the time the week was over with, the Ku Klux Klan wanted to jump on Donald Sterling. They were so outraged.
Why you expose us like that? I think there's a lot more to this story. The next couple of weeks, just like the day you found out he had prostate cancer, I'm pretty sure more of these tapes are going to surface. And you're going to hear a lot more of what this man thought about people in general. Now, he got a girlfriend. She's what, Mexican and black mix, a product of a rape, so she says, because that's the reason why she changed. Her name was Maria or something. And then, she's a product of a rape, so she decided to change her name in order to get a new identity. She meets this guy at the Super Bowl, and they start hanging out, She receives several gifts from this. Now, it's my understanding they never had been intimate.
Classic sugar daddy. Classic sugar daddy.
He'd buy a car, Bentleys, Mercedes, Ferraris, a 1.8 million duplex. All this for just hanging around.
I understand it's California, but if you're going to spend $8 million, are you going to give me a duplex? Why can't I have just my own house?
Well, first of all, in California, you need a little bit more than $8 million.
Well, but the
to get a house.
Billions of dollars, and
Right, but he's also a slumlord.
I understand that, which is what I was going to say. Why
you didn't want one of his houses.
Right.
Why didn't you
No, you got to buy me something else.
No, I've got a nice little fixer-upper for you. I'm going to put you in. No, you ain't, Donald. I know your track record.
Anyway.
Go ahead. Continue your point.
Anyway, he gets her all this stuff. Now his wife, who he's still married to, wants this stuff back. Why you giving that sleaze bucket all that stuff? You ain't brought me nothing in years.
Shut your pie hole. Look at her and look at you.
Exactly. But Joseph, this is ridiculous.
But first of all, I understood the outrage that everybody was going through in terms of his comments and the racial animus that he showed. But he showed his track record in terms of discrimination, in terms of employment and housing and everything else over, what, a 30-plus year period, to the point where the federal government had been coming after this guy. I'm just surprised that I guess my surprise was the surprise reaction by others. Oh my goodness, Donald Sterling. I didn't know he was like that. Really?
Well, we didn't know him personally. We didn't know none of this, but they said that he had been doing this for years, like you said. David Stern knew about it. He had been through several discrimination lawsuits, while doing David Stern watch. What makes you think it took him so long?
Well, and I don't think it was the fact to take so long. I think it was the fact I think in the 21st century, language and thought has more impacts socially than actions and activities.
Yeah, well, okay. What David Stern said, he wasn't convicted of anything.
Right.
Well, but
What he did was he settled.
yeah.
So therefore, it never got to the court system. Therefore, we have no reason to believe that he done anything wrong.
Well, but I'm really curious about how much of the outrage has to do with who he initially was talking about.
Mhm.
Because Irvin Magic Johnson is NBA royalty.
Right.
And if it had been, Sammy Magic Britton that she was taking a picture with,
Well,
would the outrage have been there?
of course not.
Well, yeah. Well, my point being,
Right.
and there's a big story about he's been doing this crap, housing discrimination, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, forever.
Mm-hmm.
One of the funniest things I heard was I think it was Monday night. Jon Stewart was talking about it because Jon Stewart's Jewish, so is Donald Sterling. And he said, "Yeah, he's a racist, but two parts of him aren't: his junk and his wallet."
Right.
So I mean, I won't go there. But there's just a 50-year age difference between him and her, so it kind of.
He had the money.
And also, I look at it from this standpoint. When people talk, we talk about the outrage. The Clippers forever have been the worst franchise, not in the NBA, but in sports. The way he's managed it. Elgin Baylor, one of the more beloved players of the 60s, who was the general manager for the Clippers, I think, for at least 20 years. Clippers are always at the draft lottery. They're always getting. Elgin Baylor said, "Hey, he runs this thing like a plantation." He said it years ago. Donald Sterling, when he bought the Clippers for $12.5 million, said at that time he was not going to put any additional money into the Clippers because he was going to treat it just like his other business investments. He was going to let it naturally appreciate. No hype until David Stern made the decision to nix the trade where Chris Paul was going to the Lakers. And they nixed it and sent Chris Paul to the Clippers. No high-valued free agent ever went to play for the Clippers. Usually you got sent to L.A. to play for the Clippers. If somebody wanted to send you to NBA purgatory, you did something wrong. You were going to the Clippers.
Yeah, like Russian Siberia.
There you go. You go to Gulag.
Well,
You Moose and Squirrel play for Clippers.
and to Sarge's point earlier about David Stern, I mean, even when Elgin Baylor ended up having to sue him to get the rest of his money,
Right.
he lost.
Right, and he lost. But think about what you're doing. You're suing a multi-billionaire. You're suing a guy who's got enough money that his legal woes.
Yeah, exactly.
The $2.5. For example, they said that the $2.5 million fine that he's got to pay is the equivalent
$55.
of $55 for the average citizen. I can't even comprehend that.
Me neither.
That $2.5 million is the equivalent to $55 for the average citizen. That tells you that, number one, he's not concerned about money and legal bills and things of that nature. But number two, more importantly, he's not even in touch with reality. When he's got a 30-year-old mixed race woman archiving his conversations because he can't remember, and he says some of these things on tape. Do you when Adam Silver said that he's banned for life, do you think Donald Sterling even gave up?
No, he didn't. He is yet to speak out on it.
And here's the thing. Let's look at it from the business, going back. Like I said, it's a social aspect and a business aspect. Donald Sterling is still an 80-year-old man who's already got money longer than train smoke. He's in a win-win situation, meaning if the league buys the team from him or if they force him to sell it, he wins.
Mm-hmm.
If he's still in position as the owner of the team later on, he still wins because he's getting paid either way. As I said earlier, his concern wasn't the Clippers winning a championship for LA. His concern was the Clippers appreciating from $12.5 million to now they're worth what, 500, 600 million, and if it sells, it may be in excess of $1 billion to buy that franchise.
Let me ask you, his other business endeavors. Now, I'm probably sure his other business endeavors that he has in black employees.
Mm-hmm. And?
Could you fathom how they're feeling about this? What would you think they'd be saying, if anything?
Well, I guess this is where, now we're back to the social side. Donald Sterling mentality was what? He felt as though he was being benevolent when he made the statement, I give them cars,
And
houses,
food,
and clothes, and I feed them. He's thinking he's doing a good thing. So like if you worked in his other business ventures and you get paid a nice salary, Donald Sterling thinks he's done, regardless of whether.
I should just be happy to be there.
Bingo. You should be happy to be on the plantation. That's the way he's looking. As I said earlier about his money, some people are so far removed from reality because they don't deal. Donald Sterling, what did he say? I don't want those black people at my game. Okay. Now let's have a business conversation. Unless you're a Magic Johnson or how many African Americans are going to the Staples Center to watch the Clippers play?
that he can see from where he sits.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're what? An entertainer, some highfalutin individual.
Got floor seats.
Got floor seats.
Because you know he's not going up C-section.
Right. He's not up there with where we're at with the Billy Goat taking us up to the top and the guide and the oxygen mask. He's down there, as Mike said, on the floor in that area. So who's concerned with, or who is he concerned with other than, and then for him to be as comfortable to say, why do you have, Magic Johnson, he singles that, he's even detached from Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson's a wealthy, businessman. Last time Magic was valued, he's almost at $1 billion.
Pro sports owner as being a owner of the Dodgers in LA.
Right. And he doesn't even look at him as being an equal. So I think, when we saw the players galvanize themselves and say that, I think that was good. But, a lot of people are saying, well, Donald Sterling, maybe he's an aberration. Nah.
No, he's not.
He's not an aberration. It's just the fact he got caught on tape. He is the. Remember last week when we were having a conversation about racism,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about the fact that, well, I'll say myself personally was talking about the fact that a lot of people think that unless you hear a Donald Sterling say something like that, there's no racism. And I think that's what happened this week was that you had another one of those moments where people had to say, we've been telling you this for, just like you said about Donald Sterling, we've been telling you this guy's a racist for 30 years. But you had to hear words come out of his mouth
Mm-hmm.
for you then to say, oh, okay, we can cut this guy loose. He's messing with our money.
Exactly.
But if this doesn't happen, Donald Sterling's still owning the Clippers. And
Well, so far he's still on it. The financial people of the NBA met today, and they will be meeting in the next couple of weeks discussing the sale of the Clippers. So it's just a matter of time before.
I'm really curious to know if Sterling can take any money out of the Clippers at this point in time, because he remains a lawyer. And I know it's a legal question that I'm sure Adam Silver has researched, or he's got all those guys researching or not. But Sterling being as far removed from reality as Space Jams, I guess.
right.
What if he just drains him? And secondly, how does this affect his other business ventures? Would be really interesting to find out.
I think going to the latter to the former, I think on the latter probably didn't affect his other business ventures at all. I think at his age and his health condition, how much is he even involved in day-to-day operations of his other businesses? Just like the Clippers. How much is Donald Sterling? You think about it from this standpoint. The only reason why the Clippers are good right now, in the sense of being competitive, is because the change in the collective bargaining agreement by the Players Association, that basically it's almost as though, just like with the NFL, with profit sharing that they have and certain salary cap limitations, the Lakers, Celtics, and Knicks just can't be the greatest teams all the time. Other teams now have opportunities, and that's the only reason why. Because the Clippers for years would draft high, and just when guys would get to that point, it's like, okay, man, they're going to be pretty good. He jettisoned the players because he wasn't going to pay them 1 red cent more than he actually had to pay them. That's why the Clippers have always been bad. He never had any intent for that team to be good. But because of collective bargaining, okay, I'll bring in Doc Rivers, NBA champion coach, one of the top 3 or 4 coaches in the league right now. Bring him in. Chris Paul's handed to you on a platter by David Stern. You got Blake Griffin out of the draft back in, 2008. You build around those guys, and you come competitive. Oh, okay. If that's what the rules are, I'll pay based on the rules. But you never saw that team actually going out, shopping for them. To me, moving forward, now the question is, does Adam Silver look at the league from a different standpoint, not about players on the floor? You got 80% of your league is African American. Does he look at the league from the business standpoint of marketing and sales and distribution, meaning those people who sit in the front office? Who are they? The people who are in between management, in terms of the team itself, the general manager, and the CEOs. What's happening in those areas in terms of representation, in terms of people of color and women and folks with disabilities, etc.? What do those offices look like? Because when you get a CEO like Sterling like that, his comfort comes from his underlings. His underlings aren't Doc Rivers. Mm-hmm. Doc Rivers doesn't communicate with Donald Sterling.
Well, my understanding is one of his sons does the day-to-day operation of the Clippers, and even he has distanced himself from his father.
Well, he has no choice but to do that. I mean, with his dad, with Senior Sterling, saying the things that he said, as a family member who is involved in the operation of the Clippers, you can't say anything other than, ooh, he's out of his mind.
Right.
I mean, that's your only choice if you like your job.
See? So is that not, once again, the plantation mentality, as you just said? If you like your job, you're going to try to stick around and keep that thing. So,
well, let's move on. Not only has this hit the NBA, it has also struck a nerve with the NAACP. Now, Sterling's was up for Man of the Year?
Lifetime Achievement.
Lifetime Achievement.
How do you get 2 Lifetime Achievements?
As old as he is.
Well, maybe.
Because of the money that he has donated to Leon Jenkins.
That's been Jenkins' boy. Don't you say nothing bad about that Jenkins.
Leon Jenkins. He's head of the.
He was.
Was head of the Los Angeles NAACP. He also was a disbarred judge or somewhere out of Detroit. Mm. So he came down here to L.A. to get his hustle on, and obviously, and obviously that he did. He was making. Obviously, Sterling must have been paying him off or something. He was getting 2 like I said, this would have been his 2nd Lifetime Achievement Award for donations totaling.
Drum roll. Boom.
$45,000. Not $200 million. Not 2 million.
Stay off my grass.
Not 1 million.
And stop coming to my games.
But $45,000.
Here's a check. Now shut up.
What? What the joke?
I'm with you.
Now,
I'm with you.
Now he said he liked Leon.
I bet he did.
I bet you did.
Give me another Lifetime Achievement Award. Look, I can send
like
out a
Leon.
press release.
Leon, you're my best friend. Now drive me to the stadium.
Leon was
You
cheap.
can't come in either.
Leon was cheap. That's what Leon.
Leon, stay outside with the car.
Yes, ball.
Here's your C-section ticket.
Take it, right. If you want to send family members, there's the elevator. Tell them go straight up.
How does Leon get this past the rest of the members of the NAACP?
Before Saturday, it was probably pretty easy. It was probably just one of these. We got another check from Mr. Sterling. You know, he's been a staunch supporter, yada, yada, yada. If you've sat in any boardroom of a nonprofit and somebody like a Donald Sterling, you know, if you can pick up the phone and say, Mr. Sterling, it would really be great if we need some assistance on this particular
How much you
program. 5,000 would be great.
Check's on its way.
Thank you, Mr. Sterling.
Quit calling me.
Yes, sir. That's it. You saying, how does it happen? And then he comes in the boardroom and he said, I just got off the phone with Donald Sterling.
He's giving us money.
Yay! Donald Sterling's the greatest. We need to show our respect for Donald Sterling. How are we going to do that? Let's give him another Lifetime Achievement Award. And they gave it to him.
It's funny we use that example because our annual awards dinner's tonight.
No. Did you call Donald Sterling?
No, I haven't.
No. Mike Cox, stop calling me. It's your mouth. You're such a fighter, Cox. You're a fighter.
$45,000.
45,000.
That's all he gave.
All right.
Is that total or is that for just the
No,
second award?
that's total.
And like I said, so $5,000. So that means what? 9 times?
Well, think of it this way: if 2.5 million is like $55 to him,
So
25,000 with a penny or two.
there you go. There you go. So it's as Mike so eloquently demonstrated. He gets the phone call, whatever. Just don't call me anymore, and don't be seen with my girlfriend.
And no, she won't take you.
Right, you know. Now, here's the question. Here's my question. Now, I mean, it's a stupid question because I already know the answer to it.
Oh, okay.
What in the world is she doing with Donald Sterling other than...
Oh, you want me to answer that?
You always do a great job at answering those questions.
She doing a thing.
Bentley, just give me another one.
Yeah, man. Now, 'cause, you know, I felt, you know, if I was Donald Sterling, which I'm not,
Right.
but if I was,
You'd be with her.
shoot, there'd be a whole bunch of girls riding around Champaign with Bentleys and Mercedes.
The license plate reads SB 1.
It'd be like what was the one show Oprah did? You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car.
Oh, so you been with Sam, yeah? Oh, no.
And
Wait a
then,
minute, I thought I was
Just
the only
joking.
one.
but then me and Mike even talk about it off air. You know, you hear all this condemnation of Donald Sterling. Even his wife comes out. His views don't represent. He's been married to the man for 50 years.
Mm.
Like he did not wake up when these tapes were done and become Donald Sterling racist. It is not like, you know, you take a racist pill. You know, you
Well, he
kinda-
takes a pill, but
right, but it ain't for. It's for racing, but it ain't for.
and by nature, according to him, it would be racist because it's purple.
There you go. Get that purple pill out of my mouth.
Yeah, y'all
So
stupid.
said the.
But the very next day, who's coming out of the steakhouse with Donald Sterling?
His wife.
His wife. And she's driving the car.
Come on now, you know this was a setup. What they call it? You're trying to
Gold
cut
digger?
you're trying to cut your losses. Damage control.
Yeah.
You're looking for Olivia Pope to come in. She's out having a baby though. She had a girl, by the way.
Yeah. All right.
Congratulations to Kerry Washington.
But I think more importantly, going to the NBA games itself, some of the best basketball you've seen played in years.
Oh my goodness.
In the playoffs. I mean, the Rockets and the Trailblazers had 4 overtime games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they're both really bad, aren't they?
Right. You watch the Bulls get run out of town in their own gym by the Wizards.
But the Blackhawks won.
Yeah, they won. Okay. It'd be St. Louis.
Yeah, you're right.
Bobcats are gone.
Bobcats are gone because the Heat.
They did like yeoman's type work.
Here's the crazy part right now. Indiana still struggling with Atlanta. They won last night, so they got a game 7. You mentioned that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But if Atlanta wins, you're either going to have the Hawks or the Wizards in the Eastern Conference Final. No way in the world anybody would have predicted that during the basketball season. Over in the West, I already mentioned what happened with Houston and Portland. The
Oklahoma
Thunder.
Playing for their playoff lives.
They beat Memphis last night in Memphis. Now they've extended to a game 7.
Right.
San Antonio and Dallas.
Playing, is Geezers and Caesars. They both out there banging on each other like, De Niro and Stallone. I mean, you're seeing, like I said, each series has its own little storyline. But all in all, basketball in general, this is some of the best playoff basketball we've seen in, I can't even remember. It is fascinating, and you mentioned it. You have an opportunity for 6 game 7s in one weekend.
In one weekend.
And that's we're just talking about the first round.
Right.
So
I think it's going to get easier as you go into the second round because it's setting up for the Heat to 3-peat.
It is setting up for the Heat to.
I don't want to see it, but it's setting up that way.
Yeah, because if Toronto pulls off the upset and beats Brooklyn, the Heat swept Toronto in the regular season. Now Brooklyn swept the Heat in the regular season, but
I don't mean that.
I agree. Doesn't mean a thing. I think the Heat come out of the East basically unscathed because they won't play Indiana. Indiana, even if they've survived this Atlanta series,
They're in trouble.
They are. This team, there's rumors out there about teammates sleeping with teammates' wives, and this is where a lot of the dysfunction's coming from, and it's not being said publicly, but there's a lot of private rumbling going on as to why certain players are playing so poorly compared to the way some other guys are playing. These guys have fist fights in practices. Frank Vogel is looking up in the stands, and Larry Bird is looking at him like, giving him the cut sign.
They're talking about Hibbert haven't been playing well. He hadn't been himself doing these playoffs.
And that's where the rumors come from.
He was sleeping with somebody else's
No,
wife.
somebody's sleeping with his wife.
Oh.
And he's just looked angry the entire series, and just not in a basketball sense angry, but just going to.
That could throw your game off.
Yeah, absolutely could.
Let's go back to
you looking down the bench. Which one of you?
But I mean, we laugh and joke about it. But there's to me, being a man, I am a man.
Let's hope so.
Right. It was confirmed this morning at the doctor's office. But you guys know it. You've been around all your life. When a guy is not his usual self, there's usually 2 things that have him off his square: his woman or his money. If he's having money issues or if he's having woman issues, that's usually when guys just kind of go into the tank, because it's like when you ask them about their physical nature, if they're okay physically, then it's like, well, then what else has got him down in the dumps, or he's not able to perform in whatever duties he has,
No pun
intended. Place pun here. But that's where I'm looking at this and I'm like, how do you go from an NBA All-Star at Roy Hibbert to in the last 2 games he hadn't even made a basket?
He's averaging something like 0.4 points a game.
There you go. He's averaging more fouls than he is points. So how does that happen other than your psyche is you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're not there. And they're doing everything they can to get him there, and it just ain't happening. So
What does the missus have to say about that?
well,
It's just rumors.
I don't know if she's ever said anything. You know.
That's terrible.
I just don't want her at the games. Just make sure she's not sitting. Why do you have to flaunt it?
And security don't let her in the locker room.
There you go. So, even if Indiana gets by Atlanta tomorrow,
Hey, I imagine that could, because when you find one that fits, you know, it gets upset.
and Roy Hibbert ain't the most handsomest of guys either, you know.
Yeah, I know.
He's a 7'2" big guy, you know.
That's terrible.
So, you know, he's
Charles Barkley.
Don't nobody like me.
All right, we got lots. We still got a lot to talk about here. Lakers looking for a new coach. They even talked about going for Kevin Ollie from Connecticut and Kentucky's coach Calipari. I don't think any of those guys are leaving, but you know, it's just the fact that they brought their names up.
Well, Calipari said that he's not leaving the group of kids that he's got, so we'll see how true that is.
And I think if Kevin Ollie,
He'd be a fool to do that.
well, I don't know, you know, Kevin Ollie's got about a 12-year career in the NBA, you know, kind of that journeyman player. He knows the league inside and out. I think the thing I'm looking at with Kevin Ollie is that this is similar to kind of make a semi-analogy of coach who was here, Kruger. When Lon Kruger was here in Illinois, and he left Illinois under the cloak of darkness, and the next day you woke up, and he was an Atlanta Hawk coach. It was like everybody's like, why does Lon Kruger go coach the Atlanta Hawks? Well, you go to the NBA, $2-3 million a year. You know you're probably going to coach maybe 3 years before you get fired. Get a 5-year contract, that money's guaranteed. So then after that third year, what do? Well, you can go on TV, do some analyst work, and
Go down to Florida and water ski.
there you go. And then what happens? You find a job that you really want on the collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kevin Ollie, by coming in and in his second year winning the NCAA tournament, sky's the limit for him. So now you go from Storrs, Connecticut to Hollywood.
Well, I think part of the equation would be, I would think, is how stacked is UConn coming back. I mean, they lose
Napier.
Who else?
Well, DeAndre Davis, the forward, the 6'9" forward, he's declared for the draft. Now, Boatwright will come back. But, you know, in terms of guys coming in, I don't think they'll have the reloading like a Calipari gets in Kentucky.
But does Ollie's resume look even better if he wins another NCAA championship or two?
Probably so, but
Yeah.
can it look any better to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers?
Well, but
You
you
know,
know,
I'm-
about that. Kobe's what, 89 or 90, something like that,
He's
with a bad leg.
He's AARP.
And who else?
But, I mean,
Nash has already said, you know, you can't count on him. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, 'cause he's
If
60.
he can't use his rascal on the floor, then he's not playing.
So,
you know, his
Lakers-
hover around can't get on the floor.
Lakers are gonna be in trouble for a couple of years now. To get back to where they were years ago when in their heyday, you're looking at a good 5-10 years.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But it will be at least 3 because you got to get through this year. Remember I told you about the top 3 draft picks. They're going to get one of those 3. So they'll either get Jabari Parker, Wiggins, or Embiid, the center for Kansas.
Right.
They'll get one of those guys. But I think, going to the point about Kevin Ollie, anything's better than Mike D'Antoni. So if Kevin Ollie comes in, he's going to get a honeymoon of about 2 years. Magic Johnson and the rest of the Laker alums
Go rally right behind him.
exactly. So now, if I'm Kevin Ollie and I comes in, and I know I've got that 2-year window of that honeymoon period. Now you can start working on actually getting your resume together. So now, after 3-4 years of things don't work out, and they fire Kevin Ollie, he was the former head coach of the Los Angeles. That you put that on top of your resume. Now you coming back down into collegiate ranks. You can pick whatever college you want to go to.
Well, and that's where with Calipari, with Patino,
Mhm.
with others, I can't think of off the top of my head.
Do you think he'll leave and go to LA? Well, why would he? After he was handpicked by Connecticut's former coach, what's his name?
Jim Calhoun.
Calhoun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the other thing. Why not stay where you're at?
Loyalty, Joe. Loyalty.
Stay where you're at UConn. See what you can do. See if you can win another championship or two, and hope that whoever the bus kids hire as the coach is somebody named Mike Brown, to where he's gone after a year or two, and then step up after you've refined your craft a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that or strike when iron is hot, or as John Thompson famously said, people listen to rich people, people pray for poor people. I don't want to be prayed for, I want to be listened to.
Okay.
So, I just leave it. I agree with all of, what needs to be happening, honing their craft or whatever, but if you go from winning a national championship to being in the conversation to be the coach of the LA Lakers.
Yeah, but the last place Lakers.
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter.
That's like being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, but I mean.
Who wants that job?
What would be interesting is to see if any of the college coaches, knowing exactly what we just said, how big their ego / pride is. Do you want to be known as the coach of the last place Lakers, or do you want to be the coach of Kentucky winning another championship?
Well, see, I think on that, Calipari or Krzyzewski or Patino, their egos, those are college coaches. They'll never go to the NBA.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Tom
But
Izzo the same way.
Right, but a Kevin Ollie who's only been coaching 2 years. How much did you say you gonna pay me?
What about Danny Manning? No, just joking. All right, Frank Kaminsky, he declared for the draft last month, but he changed his mind. He's going to stay in school.
Yeah.
He said he's having too much fun playing college basketball. Feels that pro basketball, like I feel at times during regular season, is just downright boring.
There goes his draft stock.
Right. Well, you think about two things. Kaminsky had a great season this year. He can increase his draft stock, and to give you an idea on the numbers, there's 75, whether it be early entry or foreign players already committed to the draft. There's only 60 slots in the draft. That doesn't count your seniors that'll be available. So he's playing the numbers. This year's draft is stocked with stars. Next year, if Kaminsky has the same season next year that he had this year, he'll be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
In next year's draft, this year's draft, he may be a low first round pick.
The other thing that he said too is he said, look at us, we're stocked. We are ready to go for a championship next year.
Yeah,
and they are, because they lost one player.
Right.
So.
So now that goes to your point about refining your craft. A guy like that who burst onto the scene this year, now he refines his craft next year. He can write his own ticket
and have 2 Final Four runs.
There you go. Courtesy of me. I don't want to gloat here, but
a long time.
I just want to turn into the camera and say I told these gentlemen back in January that Wisconsin was going to be a Final Four team. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Duck.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yes,
He did.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
he did.
I'm just surprised we had 5 minutes of that conversation. You didn't mention it.
Well,
You were waiting for the correct moment, I think.
All right, Florida State.
like a softball, you throw it up, I knock it out the park.
Florida State University have suspended
Jameis?
Jameis Wilson, high school
baseball
trophy
team.
winner. Yeah, the
Football
baseball
team, they
team.
didn't.
No, not yet. Because he went into the store and walked out of the store with crab legs and crawfish without paying for it. Even when he got home and said he realized that he did not pay for it, he didn't bother to call the store back and say, hey, like most of us would have done. Hey, I forgot to
Wait a minute. What planet are you from?
What?
You said most of us.
Especially if nobody's knocking on your door.
Right.
Most of us realize when we make mistakes, Joseph.
Yeah, I'm walking out of the store. I made a
People.
mistake with crab legs.
People, if you walk out of a store knowingly that you did not pay for that item, I mean, you actually forgot. Just like when you got to the grocery cart, you pay for all the stuff up there on the top, and you forgot that you had that couple of 2 liters down there on the bottom. And you get out to the car, you're putting the stuff in the trunk.
And you say, oh my goodness,
Look!
I've got two free 2 liters.
No!
The store must be having a special.
You go back in the store and you pay for them.
And nowadays, if you're going through like a self-checkout thing, the cash register will say, look underneath, make sure you got everything, push OK.
Just like they've got cameras now when you go through the regular aisle that can give the view of the bottom of your cart.
I didn't know that.
Well, put your 2 liters down there this time. Try to roll on out, bro, and see if the FSU calls you and suspends you
I didn't know that.
from the baseball
Really?
team.
Yeah.
They got
Next-
cameras checked.
Yeah.
If you
mirrors and all that crap.
If you go to the store and when the cashier has that little monitor up there by her screen, take a peek at it.
She's checked.
No, she ain't checking. The store is checking. The eye in the sky is checking, or the eye below your feet.
Watch them items at the bottom of the cart.
Here's what I'll say real quick on Jameis
But
Winston.
well, can I finish my story?
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
He's got that
Senator.
Monday face.
Right.
Oh man, see that's the second time you brought that up.
Right.
See, I forgot all about it because I told you I was gonna get you back, but I forgot all about
I'm just
it.
helping a brother out. Reminding you.
Right.
Okay.
It's your mouth.
All right, what was I?
You're talking about crab legs.
Yeah, he walked out of the store with it. Police knocked on his door and said, "Hey, Mr. Winston, come on, man, you walked out of the store without paying for the crab legs." Oh, I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I just forgot. Okay, don't do it again, but we're gonna have to give you a citation.
Right. A citation.
So he's gonna have to do. You couldn't get a citation in Champaign-Urbana.
Yes, you could.
You guys couldn't.
You
I
don't
might.
have, he could, and you don't have a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I mean, you sitting in the back of a squad car like,
With the crab legs sitting next to you.
where you at? Pack
Ain't no smoke good.
Right.
But you in for pack a double, man.
What you in for?
2 liter.
2 liters.
2 liters of pop.
Right.
Anyway, come on now. This guy this is about the 3rd incident where he's been involved with the police.
Mm-hmm.
Never been arrested,
Mhm.
never been charged with anything. A rape, now with shoplifting, and what was the other one? I can't remember right offhand.
Mm.
But this is the 3rd incident.
Yeah.
Can you say preferential treatment?
No.
No. Oh,
But see what a Heisman will get you besides your trip to New York?
there you go. When he came to the door, when they knocked at the door, he's holding the trophy in his hand. How can I help you, officer?
Well, and it's not like everybody in Tallahassee doesn't know who he is.
Right.
So,
Hey, but here's the thing, sir.
So
Let's take-
when the manager called and said, "Hey, Jamie Winston walked out with some crab legs,"
We're on the way. We know the address. But here's the thing. Let's take away the Heisman and the crab legs and the crawfish and everything else.
who eats crawfish anymore?
All right, Jameis Winston from Alabama. I love me some crawfish. Was he gonna have a clam bake where he's just gonna throw the crab legs and the crawfish in a pot and go to work? But anyway, Jameis Winston is what, 19, 20 years old?
yep.
Think when you were 19 or 20? Think when you were 19?
I wasn't stealing,
You were doing something.
but I wasn't.
Oh, you know
stealing.
he was.
Right, but
Just
you
like
just
we
weren't
all
stealing.
were. Yeah.
The point is, between the ages of 18 and 24, or let's say 16, 24, men do some of the stupidest things.
We're just practicing for later in life.
That's it. Am I condoning his behavior? Obviously not. But what I am saying is that he's a college student. And I think sometimes we, going back to the Darius Paul thing, remember we talked about when the comment was made, well, if he just would have stopped and complied.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the college student is stopping and complying to the police. And tell me the college student that goes through the checkout and realizes they took off a crab legs or a 2 liter or whatever and goes back.
That's what you went to the store to get in the first place. You had no other items but.
And that was my point that I was thinking when you were talking, Joe, was, did he get anything else while he was there? No, he just went and got that. So, I forgot tends to be a little bit less believable.
Oh, and I agree. But my point is,
Yeah.
how many of us walked out with the how many of us responded
Oh.
with, I forgot.
That's premeditated
Thievery.
thievery, stealing.
You ever dine and dash?
You went in the store knowing that you was going in.
You ever
to
dine and
steal.
dash?
Huh?
Huh?
Never.
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 Okay.
Never.
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 Oh, I forgot we're on TV.
Never. Get a good look at his face, cause Joe goes in there and gets something to eat.
Look, not now.
He'll leave the table, ain't nothing. He ain't there. The food ain't there.
We got a runner.
Exactly.
He's down. He fell on his own.
He's been tased.
Yeah, don't even need to tase him. He's flopping like a fish. I think he blew a hammy. You know, the point is that men at this age, whether they're athletes, regular students, regular guys, etc., do stuff like this. That's why, first of all, what was this citation? $48 citation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They suspended him from the baseball team until he clears this up. They didn't kick him off the team. I think the reason why we're talking about it, the same conversation we had last week with Darius Paul. If it was Paul Darius, last week's conversation wouldn't have happened. Right. And if this wasn't Jameis Winston, if this was Winston James, who lives in Tallahassee, we wouldn't be talking. It's because of sports and athletics why we're having this conversation. To me, it's much ado about nothing. Here's where the issue will come up for Jameis Winston next year. When we get around this time next year.
The draft.
And the draft, as Mike just indicated. Because now, I can make light of it now because he's a college student. But who's going to invest $10, $15 million in him?
You're a troubled kid.
Not a
Well,
troubled kid,
you just make bad choices.
Right. We got some character issues now. And if you continue to make bad choices in college, and I give you 10 or 15 million, what kind of decisions you gonna make then?
Don't they give you life coaches and whatnot?
Well, but you got to listen.
Right.
I mean, McEllisher.
So as Mike has indicated, that's
Back there.
Well, maybe Jameis can call Donald Sterling and get some change or something.
I don't want to talk to him now. Just stay away from my games.
Speaking about choices, Ray Rice pleaded not guilty to third-degree charge of aggravated assault and applied for a pretrial intervention program.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning, where he can go through this program as a diversion program, and probably some.
They serve crab legs too. I heard.
With crawfish.
Right.
On the side.
Anger management classes. And if he goes through complete these classes by his next court date, then no charges will be charged for knocking out his then fiance. They got married now. So.
That's the smartest thing an athlete's done recently.
Right.
So she was in court sitting behind him, and that's okay, baby. You can knock me out anytime,
champ. Who's undefeated in I?
So,
you are, Ray.
So, let me see. Yeah, they walked in the court holding hands. He says he's a happy father and a happy husband. The reporters asked what he hopes would happen. Rice responded, "For you all to have a blessed day."
And I got to get home and pad these floors. So.
Tight end Aaron Hernandez has been indicted on alleged jail assault in February and an alleged threat at a jail last November. Bristol County District Attorney Office said Hernandez was indicted Thursday on charges of assault and battery and threats to do bodily harm. The statement said the alleged assault occurred February 25th in the correctional center. In February, the scuffle allegedly occurred when an inmate was being transported from the jail's infirmary. The man, identified as Andrew Booker, and Hernandez allegedly exchanged words. Hernandez allegedly punched Booker and knocked him to the ground. Neither was injured. Booker's attorney, Michael P. Malone, has told reporters his client will not testify against Hernandez. He doesn't want to be a stoolie. He didn't want to be a rat, so he ain't going to testify. They don't like for you stoolie in prison.
But does that say more about Hernandez's friends than whether or not the guy wants to be a stoolie? I mean, I get that snitches get stitches, but... And my other question is Hernandez... Well, I have two, actually. When are they going to stop referring to him as tight end Aaron Hernandez? Because...
They said former.
Oh, okay. Well,
now
that's
he's a loose end.
probably real correct. And and I have no idea what I was going to say.
Oh. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
I was just going to ask, does he ever really doing stuff like this expect to get out of jail?
He knows he's not getting out of jail. He knows he's pretty much in there for the rest of his life.
And I think this is who he is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
absolutely
what we're seeing, we talked earlier about character issues and Jameis Winston not on the same level, but I think what we're seeing is Aaron Hernandez did a great job for about 4 years masking this behavior. And as you just said, now that the quote unquote the jig is up, he's like, screw it.
Yeah.
Let me just be
me.
Let me be Lucien Aaron Hernandez.
All right. We got to take our last break. And of course, we got the most exciting 2 minutes in sports.
Down the stretch they come.
Coming up tomorrow at what the time? Race, what? Post time is at
4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that.
Well, no, they don't run to about 5:30. So post time would probably be about 5:15, something like that, when they start putting them into the gate. So I got to listen to the horses.
Uh-oh.
And I have a question for my Fort Knox buddy.
Right here.
Come back.
That's right. We used to be right down there from Louisville.
Louisville?
Yes.
And you'll be surprised what Churchill Downs. Churchill Downs is right smack dab in the middle of a residential area.
Yes, it is. Right off the highway.
Wow.
Anyway, we'll be back with more Talking Sports right after these.
Welcome back. Last quarter. Game 7. Down the stretch they come. Championship rounds.
Using all the analogies.
All the analogies. It's 4th and forever. Hail Mary.
All right.
We're going for broke. Kentucky Derby.
It's tomorrow.
It's the 149,000th running of the Kentucky Derby.
Well, they're running again this year. Why don't we just put it that way? I got to listen to the horses right here. And, of course, we don't condone betting here at WBCP.
But if we did.
I'm going to give you the odds.
First of all, how many horses running tomorrow?
20. I guess you can call it a full field.
What was it, 22 last year?
Yeah, they had to put on the attachment to the 400 run last.
And we've always given tips for people to understand what they're looking for in terms of track conditions, jockeys. You never want, first of all, when you think about a jockey, you never want a guy with a cigarette and a beer in his hand to be your jockey.
Never.
Never. You never want that.
And you don't want that jockey that's about 5'6", 5'7", 6 feet tall. You don't want him on your horse.
No. You don't want your jockey that's built like a dryer with the door open. You don't want that.
Not that one that's 179 pounds, 180 pounds. Don't want him on your horse.
There you go. And probably the most important thing, you do not want a jockey where you can see his jockeys.
Never.
That's just not a good sign. Never a good sign.
No.
Now, with that being said,
here are the horses for the run of tomorrow's Kentucky Derby. Coming out gate number 1, Vigor, In Trouble. He's being ridden by a woman, Rosie Napper. Yes, her.
yeah, that's very good. Rosie.
She's going to be on the rail. 20-1 odds, that horse is. Coming out the second spot is Harry's Holiday. He's a 51 horse. If you really want to make some money,
That's where you go.
put your $2 on it. Number 3, Uncle Si, 30-1 odds. Number 4, Danza. He's one of the favorites, 8-1. Your favorite is coming out the 5th gate, California Chrome. He's at 5-2 odds as of this morning. 6, who I'm going to put my money on, Sam Rant. Of course, you probably already know why. 15-1 odds. 7, We Miss Artie. There's another one of those 50-1 odds horses.
Artie's going to miss his money, too.
At 8, General A-Rod.
You on steroids?
Yeah, I don't know. 15-1 odds. Vince Aroma, Sarah Romas. 31 odds. Number 9. And number 10, Wild East Red. Wildest Red. Wildcat Red.
Yeah, all of them.
One of them 3.
One of those 3 horses. There's 3 horses on top of each other with a real tall guy riding.
Wildcat Red. I can't even read my own writing. 15-1 odds.
Wild East.
Opportunity was scratched due to a foot injury.
Oh.
Good thing they could work that out. Didn't have to put him to sleep.
Right there on the horse.
That's just so sad when they do that. It's like, remember a few years back when that one horse broke his leg, pulled up lame. They took him out there behind the trailer and did whatever they ever do. That was just so sad.
What if they ever did that like in the Olympics? The guy running 100 meters, blows a hamstring.
At number 11, Dance with Fate. You so stupid. 20 to 1 odds.
Looks like they're gonna have to put the German runner down.
Ben Johnson.
At number 12, Cheetah. Shita. 20 to 1 odds. Number 13, Metal Count. 20 to 1 odds. Number 14, Tapiture. 12 to 1 odds. Intense Holiday coming out of number 15, Gate. Intense Holiday. That's 8 to 1 odds. Commanding Curve. Must belong to a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
I used to have one of those back in the days. 50 to 1 odds. Candy Boy number 17, 15 to 1 odds.
Do you have one of them?
Nope. I know where you was going with that. I caught you. I'm not that slow today. Ride on Curlin. 15 to 1 odds. And I'm sure this is one of Curlin. You remember Curlin from Kentucky Derby a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of his sires, what they call them, sires, his offspring. Because, you know, after you finish riding, you're running, you know, you're only 3 years old. You win a couple of races, and it's,
All you get to do is,
hey,
You know, Donald Sterling.
hey, I'm going to faster tonight.
hey, Curlin.
How you been? I heard you been running. You want to come here, you. Number 19, Wicked Strong, 6 to 1 odds. And number 20, Pablo Del Monte, another 50 to 1 odds. So there are your horses. For the, like I said, post time be about 7:15, 7:20, somewhere around there. Race will get started soon thereafter. Because they don't let them stay in that gate too long because the horses get a little nervous. They're already wired up.
I'm taking Candy Boy, Metal Count.
Hey, write it down now. So next week we'll know.
Well,
Who you got?
I
Joe.
got Candy Boy
Candy Boy.
to win, Metal Count to place,
Metal Count. Okay.
and General A-Rod to show.
All right. General A-Rod, the show. Mike.
I'll go with the favorites.
All right.
Win, place, and show. Put them whatever order you want.
All right. California,
Then Danza.
Strong, and then Danza.
No. Wicked Strong is 6 to 1.
Who?
So it'd be California, Chrome, Wicked Strong, and then Danza.
California, Wicked Strong. Okay. And Danza. All right, and I'm going with Sam Rant. He's gonna win it. It's gonna give me some money. And then I'm gonna go with Ride with Curlin. Then Danza.
What happened to Commanding Curve?
No, I used to have one of those. That's what I said.
Okay.
I don't have it now. Those are your horses for the Kentucky Derby. We wish you well. There's nowhere else to bet around here now. Isn't the what they call it?
OTB?
OTB, is that still open?
It's on the landings or
Right.
whatever that is way over there.
The Jupiter's at the crossing.
That's, yeah,
Yep, out there.
So it is still open.
Mhm.
Man, we might have to take a road trip.
That,
Who's the we? He's
right.
talking about?
So what you're saying is you want one of us to drive, or we pick you up with that satchel of money as you go out there and have the sunglasses on and
Place a wager. I remember when they was at the out in Country Fair. I used to go out there. They used to have one of the best hamburgers.
did it.
Yeah. You know, they had the little TVs right there at your table, so you can watch the races.
And then as soon as they come across, you tear your tickets up, throw them in there.
Huh?
Because
Yeah.
you didn't win again.
That's why that floor be full of them, too.
So my question is, back in the day, did you ever hop the fence?
You talking about the church down?
Yes, sir.
No, I didn't.
First day of May, you did?
No.
Dude, we should have hung out more.
You hopped the fence?
Oh, yeah, every year I was there.
Dang. And I paid to get in.
We only got kicked out once.
You wasn't in uniform with you.
Yeah, he's
No.
he was full fatigue. Going over the fence.
Hop the fence. go to the infield.
Camoed up.
Army crawling right across.
What's that over there on the backstretch? The infield is the place to be at Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May.
It's like mint juleps and big hats.
The whole
Weird hats.
The whole week in Louisville is like like a Mardi Gras.
Right.
I mean, it's parties everywhere, and everybody's having a
Concerts.
party. Yep. Everybody's partying and having a good time doing that whole week.
Right.
Then you got the Pegasus. I mean, not the Pegasus, but the parade on Fridays. It's good times. Good times. If you've never been there, you really should go at least once.
And it is right off the highway. You cannot miss it.
Wow.
Yep. So locally, Joseph, first string. We always got to ask about first string.
Well, last night, the Suited League team had their first radio game. They were on WWS last night.
They didn't disappoint you.
Well, they lost 5-1. It was a spirited game, very competitive. Kids played hard. I mean, it was, as we all know, how the temperatures were last night. Just wasn't weather conducive for Little League baseball. But
There wasn't nobody out there with pine tar on.
no, it wasn't nobody wiping off their neck and putting it on the ball. But the kids, it's a spirited game. Today there are farm league game going on at Douglas, so if you get a chance, come on out, support the kids there, and then everything fires back up next Monday. But things are going well. All the teams are now playing now in terms of lowest level is T-ball, that's 4-6, Peanut is 7-8, farm league 9-10, and then the suited is 11-12. So everybody's now ready to go, and I guess we talked about support, from the community, and parents, and things of that nature last week. And as the weather improves, obviously more people will be coming out to the park. So
Right.
come on out. Like I said, tonight there is a farm league game going on at Douglas. So if you don't have anything to do and you want to get a Hinkle or a Douglas dog or a cheeseburger or a hamburger, come on out. Watch the kids play.
The metal benches take a minute to warm up, don't you? Once you sit down.
Well, you gotta
Ooh.
you gotta be prepared. I got some extra gear in my truck. So
Oh, okay.
I'll be putting that on before the game tonight. Hanging out there. But yes, indeed. Like I said, just come on out and support the kids. Check them out.
What else we got to talk about? Oh, Cubs and Cardinals this weekend. What's the score? You didn't check the score?
No, I did not.
Dang. Cubs and Cardinals are playing this weekend. They're playing this afternoon. They play again tomorrow afternoon. I think Sunday night. They're
It's a
on
night
Sunday.
game.
Yeah, they're on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball. And of course, there's always good rivalry in those Cardinals and Cubs games. I think last we checked, it was in like the second or the third. Cubs were up 2-0.
Oh, if you're in the track, high school track, the Gene Armour Invitational is going on today over at
And Banner?
Harold Jester Track, which is the track at Centennial.
Yeah.
If you say go to Harold Jester Track, most people are like, go where?
I have no idea.
Right. But the track out of Centennial. So the Gene Armour Invitational, that event's been going on for several years, and so it'll be different high school track athletes here in town. So if you're looking for something to do, if you don't want to come out to Douglas and check out the kids playing baseball, then like I said, going over to Centennial and watch some of your local high school athletes participate in track and field activities.
And, I had this story last week, and I plumb forgot about it. Scott Carroll, 29-year-old rookie, pitched for the White Sox last week, went 7 innings. He's been in the minor leagues for like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy that loved baseball.
Mm-hmm.
29 years old.
You know
And
what's
the entire time he's been in playing baseball, he's been in the minors. And he finally get that call.
And now he's in the big time. Come on up, son.
Come on up.
Me and Mike were talking off air about basketball. And basically saying the same thing needs to be created for basketball. They have a D League, the developmental league for the NBA. But, the rules in baseball, if you're drafted, you're a high school player and you get drafted, you either go into Major League Baseball or you say, I'm going to go to college. If you go to college, you have to go for 3 years.
But you still keep your spot on the team.
Right. You can either then sign with that team or redraft. Your name can go back into the draft after your junior or senior year, if you choose to do that. To me, that is probably the most simplistic and basic rule that they have out there for collegiate sports, and I think it should be available on the basketball front.
It is.
No, it's not.
It could be.
But why don't they? And obviously,
No, come on.
there's
NBA
several,
would never adopt a plan that like that because of, as you say, money.
okay, but I'm looking at it from this standpoint. If you watch the draft, it'll be in June. But go back if you get some time and review previous drafts and see who got picked. Just go back to for the past 6-7 years and see where some of those guys are at today. Some of these guys are not even in the NBA. Didn't even get a cup of coffee in the NBA. And so, to Mike's point, my point when we were talking about basketball compared to baseball, at least you're not forcing a guy to go to college for that 1 year, for that one and done. And I know Adam Silver and a lot of other people will say, we're not forcing anybody to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go to college. It's just that their league requirement is you have to be 19 to be drafted into the league. And most guys, that means after your freshman year. But I still think that if the NBA incorporated the same rules that Major League Baseball have, it'd be a lot less controversy and drama. If a guy wants to go to college, yeah, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go for 3 years. He's there for 3 years. It's not, he's there for one, now he's going to take off. No, he's there for 3 years. If he doesn't want to go to college, shouldn't be forced to. Draft him, and he goes straight into the developmental league, or if he's good enough.
A-ball, double
Right.
A.
And I think that's the other thing, is create levels, just like you have in Major League Baseball, so that guys can theoretically work, just like Scott Carroll did.
Mm-hmm.
He worked his way up into the big leagues.
For 9 years. That's a long. Most guys don't stay in minors that long. Maybe after about 3 or 4 years, they figure, well, I ain't gonna make it to the bigs, and they bail out.
Mm-hmm. I know one thing. The difference though is that you think about a basketball compared to baseball. Once you make, like Scott Carroll made it now at 29, he might be around for
Another 10 or 15
10
years.
years. There you go.
Hold on, but you
Basketball player.
You can still get sent back to the minors.
Oh, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying usually when you make an MLB roster, you've made it. You're in the league. It's very rare that a guy works his way up, gets to that pinnacle, gets there, and gets sent back.
Oh no, it happens all the time.
Well,
Joe,
particularly with
baseball.
pitchers, it does.
Yeah.
Well, even I guess
Infield,
because-
like Cardinals sent a couple players
Colton
back
Long
last
went
week.
back. Yeah, Colton Long went back.
But how old is Colton Long?
23, 4.
There you go. I'm talking about a guy this late in his career. If he's worked that hard to get there and now he's there, the desire for him is probably, Colton Long is going to be like, okay, I'm 23, I'm 24. He can bounce between AA, AAA ball and the majors back and forth till he gets there. You're 29, 30 years old. You ain't coming home talking about, honey, we're going back to Memphis.
Man, he was probably rooming with 18, 19-year-old kids.
There you go. So he's like, I ain't going back to that.
Riding the bus the game. Yeah, you
So
drive.
either he's going to stay or he'll be coaching high school baseball.
There you go. There you go. So
All right.
I just think it's a different level. But just the practicality of, it's the simplicity in it. Because like with the NBA, you had to declare by April 27th. And then if you don't want to go into the draft, to undeclared, you have to send a written letter to the league office by June 16th. Because the draft is like June 26th. And I just don't understand why they can't make it a more simpler system.
All right. Well, that's it. That's all the time. We're in OT now. So that's going to do it for this edition of Talking Sports. We do this each and every weekend from 2 to 4, so you be sure and tune in again next week. We'll lace them up and do it again. We'd like to thank you for tuning in. Mike?
Thank you.
Joseph?
Last week I said you had a face like Monday. I didn't mean that. You don't have a face that a mother can love.
Thank you.
But he won't cut her grass.
I know. And if my horse win the Kentucky Derby tomorrow, it'll probably be because it had a face like Joe's.
Wilbur.